Today is November 29th. There are not huge updates in the student loan world. So I wanted to make today's and this week's video around some questions that people in the channel have been posting. So I want to answer a few of them. There are a couple. One that I receive and hear a lot is, when does it make sense to make my payments even though we're in pause? Is there is there a scenario it makes sense to pay? And if so, what would that scenario be? Right? I got that question. For those who don't like to be in debt, of course, I'd love to answer that question. And then I also received a few questions around, if I miss the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, what are my opportunities in the income driven repayment waiver that is taking place? So I'm going to answer a few of those questions in this video today. So if any of those are of interest or pertinent to you, please stay for this video. And of course, if anybody else could be helped by this information, please share it as well. 99% of viewers of my channel are unsubscribed, so please subscribe if you find this information helpful. So first and foremost, I want to address the circumstance in which paying for your student loan during this pause may make sense. I don't think it makes sense for the majority of people. Hence, almost 99% of people aren't making payments during this pause. So I guess a lot of people agree with me. But number one, since it's 0% interest, let's say there was a payment pause, but it's still accumulating 6% interest. It'd be a very different scenario. But since we have a payment pause and our money is accumulating, our loans are accumulating 0% interest, that literally means it costs us nothing to delay payment. That means that if you borrowed $11,000, you will not have to pay a dime extra, in which case there is no immediate advantage to paying it off. People are like, well, what if I have no debt? I paid down all my credit card debt. I paid down my car loan, or I never had a car loan. I don't have any credit card debt. I have significant amount of savings. Should I then pay off my student loan? Would it make sense in that scenario? So my response to this is twofold. Number one, do you as an individual qualify for loan forgiveness? Because if you don't qualify for loan forgiveness, the answer is different than if you do qualify for loan forgiveness. So let's say the scenario is the person asking me qualifies for $50,000 of loan forgiveness projected, plus all these months of non-payment are months that count towards loan forgiveness. So if let's make up a name, John. Let's say John decides, oh, I don't have any debt. I've accumulated savings over these past 3 years. I'm going to go ahead and pay off my student loans. Well, if he qualified for loan forgiveness or any form of loan forgiveness, whether it's through income-driven repayment or public service loan forgiveness, it does not actually make sense, because he's paying money to a federal student loan that would never have to be paid, that he would receive forgiveness for. So that would not make sense. Now, let's say he didn't qualify for any form of public service loan forgiveness or loan forgiveness of any form. He made too much money. His IDR plan payment is too high. Then I would say, what are your retirement goals? Are they fully funded? Is your retirement plan fully funded? Like, you're going to comfortably retire by your target age? If that answer is yes, I would say, do you have any investment strategies, such as in real estate or any short-term income generating goals that you have also met? Is the answer yes or no? For most people, they're like, oh, I paid down my debt. And they're oftentimes not thinking about retirement or investment for their future. They're just thinking, how do I get out of debt? Now that I'm out of debt, do I pay off my student loans? It doesn't always make sense to accelerate the student loan payment if you haven't funded your future retirement, your future home, your future, even if you're going to start a family, get married, all that all requires money. And unless goals like that are funded, then it does not make sense if you are not going to have to pay extra for this money borrowed, and you may qualify for loan forgiveness. In that circumstance, it doesn't make sense. But let's say you're like super, super on top of it. You funded your retirement. You just bought a house. You just got married. You saved up as max for all these goals. You're very comfortable and you just don't want to be in debt. Okay, that would make sense. But for the majority of people I know with student loans, that is not their scenario. And if that is not the scenario, then it doesn't make sense at 0% interest on the student loans right now to go ahead and pay them off. Okay. I want to tell a story of one of the users that came through our platform. He saw the zero interest, 0% interest and thought, oh my God, this is an opportunity. Let me just pay down half of my student loans. He had like $250,000 of student loan debt from a PhD and various other undergrad and some grad school education. He was like, let me go ahead and just pay off as much as possible because now I have a decent paying job after the pandemic hit. Well, that was also before he saw the interest rates for a home go down and he wanted to buy a home, except he used like the majority of his savings to pay down his student loans. And he was like, wait, that didn't make any sense. Why did I hurry to pay down my student loans when now I should really have more down payment for my house? Well, it turns out any money you have paid during this payment pause can actually be refunded so that you can request a refund through your servicer. The refund is sent through the US Treasury, and then you can take those funds and put towards a down payment or lump sum pay off other debt or, other things. So I just want to put that out there because in his scenario, it really didn't make sense because he didn't have sufficient for a down payment, plus he qualified for loan forgiveness. So what's the point of accelerating it if you're going to qualify for loan forgiveness plus you don't have a sufficient amount for a down payment for a house, right? So those are definitely scenarios, even with somebody higher earning, that it again did not make sense to go ahead and pay off the student loan. So I just wanted to point out those scenarios for like, there's people that caveat that and ask, well, like refinancing, once we get kicked into repayment, refinancing has significantly lower interest rates. So does it make sense after my loans are kicked in to go ahead and refinance my student loans? Again, my answer is if you can pay like your hair is on fire and pay in under 5 years, you do not believe your job security is threatened by any economic condition, then and you could do it in under 5 years, that may make sense if you don't qualify for any form of loan forgiveness. Okay. If you qualify for loan forgiveness, it does not make sense to refinance because you're comparing an interest rate of like 4.55% up against, the interest rate you have in your student loan isn't actually your interest rate, because if you end up paying back significantly less due to forgiveness, then you're not comparing apples to apples. You have a very different effective interest rate if you pay back less than the fully amortized loan amount. So I just want a fully amortized loan amount is what your principal is plus all the compound interest. If you're going to end up paying back significantly less compound interest because you qualify for loan forgiveness, then your effective interest rate is different than what is advertised on the loan you actually borrowed. Okay. So I wanted to explain that in as simple as terms as possible. And then lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about the questions of if you miss the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, what is now the opportunity? Like, what is it you need to do now? Well, first of all, you still qualify for the income driven repayment waiver, IDR waiver, because to qualify for public service loan forgiveness, you have to be in an income driven repayment plan anyway. So make sure to file into the income driven repayment plan and make sure to still qualify your employers for PSLF. And you should get your payments counted towards income driven repayment. All right. And of course, by certifying your employers, you will also get that time counted towards PSLF. As long as when you file for PSLF, you are working at that time for a nonprofit provider. Okay. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions around when does it make sense to go ahead and make payments during this pause, as well as what can you do with IDR waiver if you missed the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. I will be coming to you all with updates. I hope all is well on your front. Please Like this video if you liked it and found it informative. Please subscribe and please share with others. Thank you and have a great week.